Hi everybody, I hope you are all well. It's Sunday morning again. It's a clear day today, but it's still the sun isn't quite, it's being a bit annoying with the clouds, so I've got the light on just in case. But yeah, it's getting cold here now. In the next this week coming up, I think we're having like tops of about 7 degrees centigrade all week. So it's like, oh, it's gonna be chilly. On Wednesday, I'm actually going to a local Christmas market. That's the word. Sorry, the word just completely fell out of my head then. With my mum and a family friend, which I'm really looking forward to. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to wear a scarf or something because it's gonna be cold. Um, and next weekend, I am not likely to be with you guys for a review because I've got a little bit of exciting news. My sister is coming to see me on Saturday. She's not staying overnight, she's just going to be here during the day, and we're going to spend the day filming videos. We don't know how many videos we're going to be able to film in that time. It depends because obviously we need to catch up and everything, but my sister is going to be back after 2 years of being away, so I'm really excited to share the videos that we are able to record with you guys next weekend. So yeah, so I'm not going to be likely to have finished the next book by next week. It's quite a chunky book as well, so I'm sure you guys won't mind having 2 weeks until the next review, so I can film stuff with my sister. So yay, very exciting. But anyway, I'm here to talk about the book I have been reading, which is If We Were Villains by M.L.Rio. So the story about this book is that my sister bought it, and she sent me a picture of it in the back of the book, and I thought, oh, I'll give sorry, my throat's gone all funny. I thought, oh, I'll give that a go. She hasn't read it because I wasn't sure she had read it when I started this. I checked with her, she hasn't read it. So M.L.Rio, I don't know what M.L. stands for because I couldn't find that information on the internet. That M.L.Rio is a female writer who I believe is living in America. That she's a British writer and she has degrees and masters and such in Shakespearean studies from a London university, I can't remember which one, with the Globe Theatre. So she knows a lot about Shakespeare, and this is her debut novel. It was published in 2017, and as far as I know, it's her only book so far. So I am limited to this for this. And I couldn't find much information about her at all online. So there we go. So that's all I know about her. So I think, I'd like to refer to authors by their first names, but I have no idea what her first name is. So I think I'll probably, for this review, have to refer to her as Rio. So there we go. But what this book is about, in case you do not know, is about a guy called Oliver who has been in prison, Oliver Marks, sorry, who has been in prison for the past 10 years for the murder of one of his friends. And the detective who kind of put him in prison kind of always had an inkling that he probably didn't do it, but he was found guilty in a court of law and he got sent down for 10 years. It's right before he's due to be released, and the guy who investigated the crime, he is due to retire, and he wants to know the truth from Oliver. So it's about finding out what really happened that night. And I have to say, I hated this book. Couldn't stand it. So much so it's added to the pile of DNF books for me. I couldn't finish it. I did just as I do with other books, where I give the first 100 pages the maximum to get me intrigued and interested, and this book just did not do it for me. So I stopped, and it's quite funny because I was, just before I started filming, I looked at the books that I had DNF'd this year, and there are now 5 of them, and at the end of the year I do my 5 favourite books and my 5 least favourite books, and I'm like, oh my god, I've got 5 that I DNF'd. This usually never happens. At max I think I've had like 2 in a year, not 5, but maybe I'm just, as I said at the beginning of this year, that I am, because of everything that's been going on, if I don't have time, I don't have time to be wasting around with books that I'm really not going to get into. So I'm giving the first 100 pages a go, and if it doesn't grab me, it's gone. I'm being more brutal. With books this year. So yeah, so now that's 5 added to the pile. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're the 5 that are going to be my worst books, because there are books that I finished and I hated. So let's see what happens. But yeah, I've hit my 5th DNF book this year. Why did I DNF it? Right, here's the thing. I felt completely just wrong for this book. Right, it's about Oliver. When the crime happened, he was part of a theatre conservatory, and he's in his 4th year with the other 6 people who are still there within his year, because they get cut all the time. It's amazing that they've all survived so far, basically. And they live together where the conservatory is, in this building called the Castle, and they all love Shakespeare. They're all theatre actors. They love Shakespeare, and I just felt throughout, right, I'm a big fan of Shakespeare. I'm a big fan of Shakespeare. I love reading novels relating to Shakespeare, all that jazz. But this was so condescending, I was just completely turned off. The various characters I couldn't stand. I thought they were completely just arrogant and annoying, and I didn't connect with any of them. It was kind of like they were just these characters that just kind of popped up, and I'm like, oh, okay, I have to pay attention to you. Why? I just couldn't connect with any of them. And the thing is that they're all actors, and their real lives are kind of like the characters that they depict. So you've got someone who is believes that he's God and he's king, and you get ones who are kind of like the seductress, and all that kind of thing. So it's like, okay, so basically we're doing this so we need to know everything about every possible Shakespeare play to be able to follow what you're talking about. That was basically how it was kind of structured. Now, as I said, I love Shakespeare. I think I'm not showing off by saying I know a lot about Shakespeare, because Shakespeare is something that I grew up with. I have got so many copies of productions of Shakespeare. I listen to Shakespeare plays all the time. So I don't think that's bad for me to say that I know quite a bit about Shakespeare. And this book made me feel like an absolute dunce for those 100 pages, because I couldn't remember specific lines from certain plays, like plays that are so rare and that don't really get made into theatre productions that were referred to in this. And the fact that all of the characters quote Shakespeare to each other in their general conversations all the bloody time, it was like, oh, for God's sake, they're not. It was like, it was very condescending, and it was like, oh, I'm so much better than you because I can quote this, that, and the other, and I know what that relates to. Shut up, shut the hell up, and just be a human being. Like, oh, it was so frustrating. Given what this thing was about, I thought, okay, so we had the initial scene where the inspectors come to see Oliver, and he says, look, I want to know really what happened. It was then going to follow the inspector finding stuff out and the build up to Oliver being released, etc. Interviewing the various people involved, after 10 years after his crime's taken place, what's happened to them since, all that. No. It's you had that initial scene and then it went back 10 years and you were just following Oliver and it was all written from Oliver's point of view. And it was like, well, what's the mystery? I thought the whole point of this was trying to figure out the inspector figuring out what happened. Shouldn't it be that that's the way the narrative is going to go? It felt so very strange. And I read books, obviously, for escapism and such. I do not want to be made to feel like a fucking idiot when I'm reading a book and feel like the characters are looking down on me, going, "Oh, poor you don't know what that means." It was just brutal like that. And I'm like, you know what? Not bothering. I'm going to close the book. I'm going to put it down now. Not bothering. This is ridiculous. I was looking at reviews of this book on like Goodreads and even the books, the quotes on the back here. And to be honest, the people who are quoted here are kind of authors where I'm like, I feel like they're quite condescending myself. Can't help but say it, but that's how I feel. It was just so snooty. And I'm like, nope, leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Don't want it. Don't want it. Another thing which truly baffled me was that I will find an example. It's not very far in. I think it was about page 30 or something. Oh, I can't find it now. I'll flick through while I'm talking. Oh, no, I've just found it. So what Rio does is that she does this thing where a conversation is happening between the various characters. Fine. Then suddenly she changes it to be written as a script for part of the conversation. And then she'll continue and conclude the conversation back to standard writing. So I'll read this out, but just so you can see. So we've got, standard X said, Y said, and then you've got here where you've got all of the different characters saying denoted like script. And then as you get further down, it goes back to X said, Y said. And it's like, why are you doing that? What is the point? You either do it one way or you do it the other way. Or for me, because they're actors, perhaps only have the script way written when they're actually reading from scripts, not when they're just in the middle of having a normal conversation. Why are you doing that? And it's things like that as well. It's just, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth and I don't like it. I don't like it. So I'm just seeing where this. So, okay, I'll start it from here, just at the bottom of the page before. So it says, Meredith, Gwendolyn said, smiling up at her. Our guinea pig. Breathe. Meredith swayed on the spot as if to the push and pull of a breeze, eyes closed, lips slightly parted. It was strangely relaxing to watch, and at the same time strangely sensual. There, Gwendolyn said. Are you ready? Meredith nodded and opened her eyes. Lovely. Let's start with something else. What is your greatest strength as a performer? Meredith, normally so confident, hesitated. Gwendolyn, your greatest strength. Meredith, I guess. Gwendolyn, no guessing. What is your greatest strength? Meredith, I think. Gwendolyn, I don't need to hear what you think. I want to hear what you know. I don't care if you sound stuck up. I care what you're good at and as a performer. And you need to be able to tell me what is your greatest strength. I'm physical, Meredith said. I feel everything with my whole body and I'm not afraid to use it. You're not afraid to use it, but you're afraid to say what you really mean. Gwendolyn was nearly shouting. I glanced back and forth between them, alarmed at how quickly things had escalated. You tiptoed around it because we're all sitting here staring at you, Gwendolyn said. Now out with it. Out! Do you see what I mean? What is the point of changing the structure of the way that you refer to people in the middle of a conversation and then revert back to standard X said, Y said near the end of the conversation. It's just weird. Like I said, I read books for escapism. I don't want to be made to feel like I'm an idiot. I don't want to be talked down to. I don't want to read a book with characters who I couldn't bloody stand. So I had to stop it, guys. Sorry, another one goes into the DNF pile, but it just didn't work for me. And I can't understand why it's so lauded as being so great. If I'm honest, I really don't. It's interesting looking at Goodreads. There are a lot of 5 stars, but the average is 4.2, which means there's a lot of low scores as well. And yeah, reading those lower scored reviews, people are feeling a lot like me. That this is just, it's oddly structured, it's weirdly written, it's so condescending, the characters are so obnoxious, and I'm just like, it's a no, can't go there. So I had to stop, guys. So yeah, I'm not going to do a reading from it. I had marked something to possibly read, but it's just, yeah, it's not that. It was the only page that I could find which was somewhat decent, and even then it's just a bit meh, and it still has the issue of part conversations, X said, Y said, and then you go to the script form and then you're back to standard X said, Y said. It's just, it's a no. It's a no. So those are my thoughts on If We Were Villains by M.L.Rio. Have you read this book? I'd love to know what you think. Leave me a comment in the comments box below. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, and type. I'll let you decide. And I'll be back with my thoughts on my next read, which is The Murder of Harriet Monckton, a novel which is based on a true crime that happened in the mid-1800s. And I got this because my sister bought it and I thought it sounded interesting, but then she read it and absolutely hated this book. So we'll see what I think. But as I said at the beginning of this review, most likely I won't be back with a review of this next week because I am having my sister over on Saturday and we're going to be filming some videos for you guys. All right then, bye.